from a fiery train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, have left residents worried about their air and water. On February 3rd, before 9 o'clock, a train carrying dangerous chemicals partially derailed and caught on fire in eastern Ohio, spewing out thick black smoke. According to the state's governor's directives, more than 1,000 individuals were evacuated from East Palestine and its neighboring territories. State and municipal officials declared on February 8th that it was safe for individuals to go back to their homes since air quality monitoring had not found any substances of concern above levels deemed acceptable for humans. Following the East Palestine train crash, the Ohio Department of Agriculture is assuring Ohioans that their food supply is safe and the risk to livestock remains low, the agency said in a statement to WKBN television. Yet, some locals are still worried about being exposed to toxins after hearing tales of dead fish and chickens in the region. Although the chicken incident has not been formally connected to the spill, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reported that thousands of fish had died as a result of the spill after the crash. What chemicals were on the train? The derailment reportedly affected about 50 of the train's 150 cars, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In a letter delivered to Norfolk Southern Railway, the firm that ran the train, it was said that about 20 carriages contained hazardous materials, including phenyl chloride, a carcinogen. Around the burning train, the EPA installed air quality monitoring equipment and collected soil and water samples from nearby streams. According to the letter, the agency discovered that after the disaster, dangerous chemicals from the train, such as phenyl chloride, butyl acrylate, ethylhexyl acrylate, were released into the air, soil, and water. The most hazardous of these are phenyl chloride, and prolonged exposure to it can harm the liver. Its high concentrations can make people feel lightheaded, sleepy, and headachy. According to the EPA website, these chemicals may produce an odor at concentrations below safe levels. What possible long-term damage do these chemicals pose to people and wildlife, and how long can they stay in soil and water? Chemicals that are heavier often break down more slowly and have a higher likelihood of bonding to the soil. If not removed, these chemicals can linger for many years. During the 2010 Kalamazoo River oil pipeline burst in Michigan, the US EPA dug up a tributary where the oil had accumulated. We have also seen from oil spills on the coast of Alaska and Alabama that oil chemicals can find their way into the soil if it isn't remediated. The speed and extent of cleanup will have an impact on Ohio's long-term effects. The long-term effects can be mitigated if the highly contaminated soils and liquids are dug and removed. Yet, contamination can spread further the longer cleanup takes. Cleaning this up as quickly as you can and before it rains is in everyone's best interest. Booms is a nearby stream that have been deployed to capture chemicals. Chemical removal from the rivers has been accomplished with the use of air stripping equipment. The light compounds escape from the water and enter the air as a result of air stripping. This is a typical treatment method that was applied following an oil spill in the Yellowstone River close to Glendive, Montana in 2015. So what steps have been taken to keep the chemicals under check? At the burned-out rail cars at the Ohio disaster site, workers are already removing contaminated oil from as deep as 7 feet, nearly 2 meters. Norfolk Southern contractors built a dam to contain contaminated water at the site. To clean up chemical spills, they also used a vacuum truck and absorbent pads. On February 6, an EPA team carried out what was referred to as a controlled burn of phenyl chloride from 5 cars, diverting the chemical into a trench and burning it off due to worries about a major explosion. Phenyl chloride burns to produce the hazardous gases phosgene and hydrogen chloride, which are poisonous to humans at high doses. The burn generated a massive fireball and column of black smoke above the site, images of which spawned the hashtag #OhioChernobyl on social media. Is it safe to breathe this air? In the days following the crash or after the controlled burn, the EPA reports that air quality testing surrounding East Palestine did not find any chemicals of concern. Although particle matter was identified beyond permissible levels after the derailment and after the controlled burn, recorded amounts of volatile organic chemicals such as phenyl chloride and butyl acrylate have continued to be below levels the EPA considers detrimental to human health. As part of a re-entry screening procedure, the EPA is testing specific homes close to the derailment while continuing to keep an eye on the air quality in the area of East Palestine. As of February 13th, Vinyl chloride and hydrogen chloride had not been found after screenings of 291 houses, the town library, and schools. The screening of 181 properties was still pending. Is the region's drinking water contaminated? According to the EPA website, the East Palestine water treatment plant was unaffected the day following the disaster. Operators of water treatment facilities further down the Ohio River claimed that they had not noticed any changes to the river at their intake, but that they were taking precautions such as setting up a second intake on a separate river just in case. Moreover, the soil at the accident site and water in nearby streams have been analyzed by the State Environmental Agency of Ohio and a contractor hired by the Railroad Corporation. But state officials have recommended homeowners with private wells to consider drinking bottled water until laboratory results from those samples are available. Norfolk Southern unveiled a plan to clean up the area on February 10th that included drilling wells to test and monitor groundwater. Large volumes of highly flammable, even explosive chemicals are transported daily through at-risk populations areas in what some are calling bomb trains, which are more common than is generally acknowledged. Notwithstanding the terrible nature of this catastrophe, a similar train accident involving dangerous chemicals in Quebec resulted in the death of 47 people, and future rail mishaps could be considerably worse. For instance, LNG carrying trains could ignite an extremely disastrous explosion. Just 22 LNG rail cars have the same explosive potentials as the Hiroshima bomb. More than 1,000 trains derail each year, and over the past 7 years, the expenses of hazardous cargo railway accidents have increased, according to a recent investigation by journalists with a lever that was published in the New York Times. The obvious safety precautions that unions have suggested include adding more crew members to each train, reducing the length of trains, enhancing safety monitoring systems, adding more time and personnel for rail car inspections, and updating the braking systems. Additionally, Congress should propose legislation to fix severe safety flaws, and federal authorities like the U.S. Department of Transportation and EPA should take steps to reduce the possibility of such tragedies. Bipartisan U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania and Ohio have urged for the EPA and NTSB to take swift federal actions to address these hazards. Alright guys, that's all we've got for today. If you found this video useful, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.